All right, another loaded show coming your way on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. coming at you from Super Bowl Radio Row in New Orleans in the lead up to Super Bowl 59. Philadelphia Eagles against the Kansas City Chiefs. We've been previewing, talking about this game over the last couple of weeks, and we continue to get closer and closer to kickoff at the Superdome. On today's show, it is a loaded one. Don't go anywhere. Continue to hang out here with us. Brandon Graham feeling great, coming off that triceps injury. A.J. Brown injury update as well. I'm going to talk about a way that the Eagles' offense in running the football can exploit the Chiefs' rushing defense. And we have interviews on the docket with Brandon Graham, Dallas Goedert, and Lane Johnson. I told you it was a loaded show, so continue to kick it here with us. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to the Bird Gang for all of your support of the show. Philadelphia Eagles Now has surpassed 106,000 subscribers. If you want Eagles videos every single day from yours truly, hit that sub button and lock us in. We begin with Brandon Graham. Had an opportunity to spend a few minutes with him earlier today at the Eagles Hotel. He is feeling great and said he continues to recover well from that triceps injury that he suffered against the Rams, and he is trending toward playing. He basically said he's going to be in uniform for this game, but could be wearing that Rob Gronkowski type of bulky elbow brace just to keep that arm all right. He tore his triceps in that Week 12 game against Los Angeles when he was balling out. I mean, he was causing havoc against Matthew Stafford and that Sean McVay Rams offense. He had his practice window opened last week, and that gave us an indication that he was trending toward being able to play in this game, and he's been practicing with that brace. And this could be a really big addition to this Eagles defense in trying to stop that Chiefs three-peat, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and this offense, which a lot of people have said they're kind of meh. They don't have a lot of great weapons. But in talking to Eagles defenders this week, they've all said they have weapons all across the field. And so take that for what it's worth. Here's what Brandon Graham, by the way, had to say about his recovery. I said to him, this is like a medical miracle, a medical phenomenon. You're this old at 36 years old. You're in your 15th year. You tore your triceps in Week 12. Usually that is a year-long injury, and now BG is on the precipice of coming back for his third Super Bowl appearance on Sunday. And here's what he had to say about his recovery.
It's a little bit of a medical phenomenon. A lot of players don't come back as quickly as you're trying to come back from this injury. At your age, how long you've been in the league, what's made it possible for you to play in this game?
Well, I got to give it to God because I say my prayers all the time because, I mean, you don't know when you're going to get injured because it happened out of nowhere for me. At one of the times where I felt I was playing my best and it got taken right up under me, but I trusted that God had a plan for me, and I feel like even now, the way you eating, the way you helping, because the team wouldn't want me around if I wasn't a good person or a good teammate for people to follow. And so I try to make sure that maximize my role, and if my role change and they need more, I try to be that. But I think that it's just adjustments over the years that I've made that helped me get to this longevity.
And BG hinting today that maybe this will be his final game as an NFL player. Of course, he's had a terrific career with Philadelphia, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Let's talk about what he's done during the 2024 season. Before he got injured, he was putting together a very impressive year as a rotational pass rusher against the run, but also as that pass rusher. Pro Football Focus overall grade of 78.6, a run defense grade of 80.1, pass rush grade of 71.8. All three of those categories going to be important against Kansas City. 3.5 sacks, but he logged in 169 pass rushing snaps, 20 pressures, 13 hurries, 3 quarterback hits. He also said that to me. It was so unfortunate I got hurt because I felt as though I was playing at such a high level, which he was, and he's played at a high level for a very long time. He's going to go down as one of the most iconic and best Eagles of all time, 13th overall pick out of Michigan in 2010. His career started slow, and everybody was labeling him as a bust, saying the Eagles should have taken Earl Thomas over Brandon Graham. While Earl Thomas was the better player early, BG ended up being the more durable player with more longevity, and he himself has had a terrific career. Super Bowl 52 champion, of course, the most iconic play in the history of this organization with that strip sack of Tom Brady in Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis in the calendar year of 2018. Second team All-Pro in 2016, a Pro Bowler in 2020. His 76.5 career sacks ranked third all-time in the history of this organization behind Reggie White and Trent Cole. And he is number one in games played in franchise history. And you think about this pass rush for Philadelphia. Jalen Carter is sick right now, by the way. That's why he didn't meet with the media today. Hopefully that illness is going to be kicked by the time Sunday comes around for kickoff, because he's arguably the most important player in this game against Kansas City. But you have him. You have Nolan Smith, Moro Ajomo, and Milton Williams. They've all played really good ball along the interior. Nolan Smith, obviously, on the outside. His development incredible from year one to year two, where he had 1 sack as a rookie, 6.5 sacks in his sophomore campaign, a franchise record 4 more in the playoffs. No player in the history of this organization has had more sacks in the playoffs than Nolan Smith, and Brandon Graham can be a part of that. If he does play, he also did say he plans to be full go. I'm also curious what that means for a player like Bryce Huff. Is he even in that pass rush rotation alongside Josh Sweat, who just hired Drew Rosenhaus, by the way, as his agent, and he is a looming free agent. From BG to another great player in A.J. Brown. Positive injury update here as well. Been dealing with that knee injury over the last few weeks, but good news on this front from friend of the show, John Clark. Had an opportunity to catch up with him yesterday of NBC Sports Philadelphia. He said, Temple guy, right? Yeah, Temple guy. He was as well. He said A.J. Brown says that he was hurt, injured with that knee in the first 2 playoff games. He felt healthy the week of the NFC Championship game. He says he feels healthy for the Super Bowl, and he is very grateful. He did not know when the playoffs started if he would be able to get healthy. And he popped off in the NFC Championship game, and I think that he can pop off once again. And here's a look at what the big 3 of Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert did in the pass game for Philadelphia back in Super Bowl 57 2 years ago. If these 3 players put up performances like this, you have to feel good about the Eagles' chances, because that would mean that Jalen Hurts plays like he did against Washington. And I've said here on the show, if Hurts plays like he did against the Commanders, like he did against the Steelers, 2 games this year where the Eagles put a lot on his plate from a passing perspective, I think Philadelphia is going to be bringing that second Lombardi trophy back to the city of brotherly love. Devontae Smith has fared very well against the Chiefs in his career. 7 catches for 100 yards, 14.3 yards per catch in that game in Arizona 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. A.J. Brown, 6 for 96, and that dime of a long ball from Jalen Hurts that went for a touchdown. And then Dallas Goedert, the number 1 leader in receiving yards in postseason history for the Eagles as well. 6 catches for 60 yards. And so that big 3, you like how they match up against Kansas City here. Obviously, Steve Spagnuolo has a great defense. He's arguably the best defensive coordinator in the game, and that defense at all 3 levels is so sound. They don't miss tackles. They don't make mistakes. They have really good players, but the Eagles have good players to counter that as well. And speaking of Goedert leading the Eagles in receiving yards in postseason history, caught up with him today and asked him about that. Why does he come alive in the playoffs, but also that angry run where he picked up the phenomenal yak in the wild card round against Green Bay? Where does that rank for him as a football player among his top plays of his career?
You're number 1 in franchise history in receiving yards in the playoffs. What's allowed you to have success in the postseason, and is it just a happenstance thing where you've just been in the right spot at the right time?
Yeah, I think it goes back to all the work I put in, in the regular season, in the off season. Me and Jalen have had a good connection in the playoff throughout his years here, and I think that all comes down to all the time we spent in the off season together, running routes in California and Texas, trying to see the game the same way, and as a tight end, when your quarterback needs someone to find you, I always want them looking for you, and, I think me and Jalen got that.
The angry run in the first round of the playoffs against the Packers, where does that play, picking up yak with a couple of stiff arms, rank among your all-time plays?
Yeah, it's up there. I'd say it's for sure top 3. Anytime you can score in the playoffs, it's a ton of fun. Those ones mean a little bit more because it's, the playoff time, win or go home. But yeah, that was a special play for me, but I'm just excited to make the next one.
What were the other two? Just curious.
One of my other ones would for sure be my one-handed grab in college against Drake. I think it was the first game of the season. I was on Sports Center for the first time. That one was really cool. And then probably the other coolest one, it got called back, but I did enjoy my 75-yarder in Dallas. Got called back for offensive pass interference. But yeah, that one was pretty sweet too.
One of the top all-around tight ends in the National Football League right there, coming at you on Eagles Now. So naturally, we segue to this question. Who will lead the Eagles in receiving yards against Kansas City? A couple of good choices there from A.J. Brown to Devontae Smith to Dallas Goedert. Drop me a name down in the comment section right now. So the Eagles Now rundown. Brandon Graham feeling great. A.J. Brown injury update. Interview with BG and Dallas Goedert still to come. A way for the Eagles to exploit the Chiefs. And we're going to hear from Lane Johnson about the topic that I want to get into. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Game Time. If you want to come down to New Orleans, first of all, hit me up so that we can meet up for a drink on Bourbon Street. The Chat Sports crew was there last night having a ball. But also, if you are going to go to the big game, you got to download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Game Time specializes in last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed, and prices drop as the event gets closer. Check out their flash deals and zone deals. Also, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. Instead of having to go through thousands of ticketing options, Game Time, thanks to some curation, will just give you the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And look, I talk sports for a living. Sometimes I need to unplug. Love going to a comedy show, getting a laugh in. Love going to a concert to jam out, listen to some music. Hopefully we catch some blues music down here on Bourbon Street. Some of the best blues music in the world right here in New Orleans. And so this isn't just an app for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. So one more time, download the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Next up here on the show, let's get into this, and I'm really excited to talk some ball here. This is how the Philadelphia Eagles can exploit the Kansas City Chiefs' rushing defense. The Chiefs against two tight end sets this year under Steve Spagnuolo have fared very well. They rank number 3 in yards per carry and number 7 in EPA. But when they have to go up against 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back, they struggle. They rank number 24 in yards per carry and 17th in EPA. What does that mean for the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, in quarters 1 through 3 in the playoffs this year so far, in 3 games, the Eagles have operated out of 11 personnel 81% of the time. And get this, Saquon Barkley's yards per carry when running out of 11 personnel, nearly 7 yards at 6.9. I asked Lane Johnson why the Eagles have been able to find success running the rock out of 11 personnel. Very interesting analysis here from the Eagles star right tackle.
You guys are using 11 personnel on 81% of the snaps in the playoffs, quarters 1 through 3, and Saquon's averaging 6.9 yards per carry on those personnel packages. What is it about that 11 personnel that's led to a lot of success for him on the ground?
Yeah, you can maybe spread people out and not have as much in the box, and so it helps from a numbers count. And yeah, when you create, you have that space, which is what we're trying to do, spread people out, creates a lot more running lanes, and yeah, it helps being Saquon too. He not only can he run the ball, he can catch the ball in the backfield, he can split out wide as a receiver, so it's been a lot of fun, man. Like I said, he makes us look maybe better than what we are at times, but he's a great teammate, and it makes a lot of success.
And with Spags, with his exotic blitzes, loading up the line of scrimmage, how important is it to spread them out of 11 personnel looks?
Yeah, I credit Spags as being a big reason why they've been here last 5 of the past 6 years. they do a good job of disguising their fronts. They do a good job. They know if people are sliding to Chris Jones, they may bring the pressure away a few times, and they might mix up second half and bring it with him. So he does a good job of maybe holding stuff, to a crucial time of the game. And I think, we had some success last game, spreading them out. But I just think with how they tackle linebacker positions and DBs, they're so good, and their timing's so good that if you're not on your points, you're going to pay.
And just think about it, right? 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and a running back. You spread out the Chiefs. They then can't load the box to stop the run. You can win those matchups with your offensive line just because of how talented they are. But also, if you're able to get the pass game working, spreading the Chiefs out, that's how you can find success against Spags. And Saquon in the playoffs, Saquon all year, has found success and a whole lot more. More than 2,000 rushing yards in the regular season, one of the most special seasons that we will ever see from a skill position player in the history of the NFL. Highlight reel run after highlight reel run, and he's done it and continue to do it in the playoffs. He looks fresh, explosive, athletic, just the peak of his powers right now. And for him to be doing it as a former Giant and in the midnight green is absolutely beautiful, as I just watched a Giants fan walk past shaking his head. Yeah, thank you, Giants, for Saquon Barkley. And look at what he's done in the playoffs here against the Packers, 25 carries for $119. Against the Rams, 26 totes for 205. And against the Commanders in the NFC Championship game, 15 carries, 118 yards. He's also closing in on Terrell Davis's record for the most rushing yards picked up in a single season. The former Denver Bronco, also in Canton as a Hall of Famer. This is also pretty interesting here. Sal Palantonio was on ESPN earlier, talked to him yesterday as well, and he shared these nuggets. Obviously at the Superdome, it is a turf surface. The Eagles this season are 5-0 on artificial turf surfaces. They are allowing an NFL low 11.6 points per game. Get this, that is a full touchdown better than the number 2 team in the NFL. That allows Philadelphia to play fast and physical, and they have speed and bullies all across their roster. Before we dip on out of here, if you enjoyed today's show, all access, great insight, analysis. Give me a real one down in the comment section. Myself and Chip, we will be live tomorrow around 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, just like we did today. We're going to interview some more Eagles players, give you some Chiefs insight as well, and it's all coming your way right here on Eagles Now.